Baruch atah Asherah, Anat Malacha Ha'olam, Asher Kedeshani V'Tzvotav V'Tzivani Lehitatif L'Tzitzit. Good morning, friends. Shema Yisrael, Asher Eloheinu, Yahweh Echad. Good morning. How are you? Vahafta et Anat Elohecha ובכל לבבך ובכל נפשך ובכל מאודך ובחיוך הדברים האלה אשר נוחי מצווך היום על לבביך ושיננתם לבניך ודיברת בם בשבתך בביתך ולכתך ובדרך ובשכבך ובקומך וקשרתם לאהוד על ידיך וחיו לטוטפות בין עיניך וכתבתכם על מזוזות ביתך ובשעריך וחיה כי ויחיו אלוהיך אל הארץ אשר נשבע לבתיך לאברהם לישכח וליעקב לתת לך ערים גדולות וטובות אשר לא בנית ובתים מלאים כל טובה אשר לא מילאת וברות הצבים אשר לא עשת כערים וזיתים אשר לא נתת והלכת ושבת הישמר לך פן תשכח את יהוה אשר תשעך מארץ מצרים מבית עבדים. So, those are some old words from the book of Deuteronomy. We can approximate that they were written down something around 600 BCE, give or take. And they are the most famous statements of monotheism, and the kernel, the root, maybe not root, but a very succinct mimetic repetition of the core of Judaism, or at least how I understand the core of Judaism to be instantiated in our culture. But today we're going to go further back. You know what, Mr. Jacob Toe, you're not wrong. The Lord of the Mushrooms. Baruch atah Yahweh Eloheinu melech haolam shelo ashani isha. I repeat the name of Yahweh Eloheinu, who did not make me a woman. I did that. Baruch atah Asherah Anat Malacha Ha'olam Asher Yitzaret Ha'adam B'chachama Uvara. I repeat the name of Asherah Anat, who made me with many openings and cavities. That should give you some fodder, Jacob. In any case, we are moving backwards in time and east in space, going from Iron Age Levant to Bronze Age Mesopotamia. I'll see you later, Jacob Toe. Thank you for the gift. I appreciate that, Mrs. Tanner. So we're going to read a very raunchy story today. This is probably my favorite story in this whole book. It's called The Courtship of Inanna and Dumuzi. Right, so Inanna is a very sexually liberated goddess, and Dumuzi is a shepherd and a king. Interesting how you could be both back in those ancient days. And so we're going to start to read a story of, I mean, basically Mesopotamian pornography. Don't tell the TikTok moderators, I suppose. But it's a story of courtship, and that courtship concludes in some rubbing of sorts. It's a long story. We're not gonna get through it today. It'll probably take us 2 or 3 weeks. But it's a good one. Good morning, Paige. How are you? It's been quite a long time. My stream schedule has changed a little bit. I've shifted later. And it's interesting to note how the people that I met, what was it, 2 years ago now that I started doing this live? The people I met then, I was awake at like 7 in the morning, and I'm not awake at 7 in the morning anymore, and I regret that. I miss waking up before dawn, but I'm glad to see you here now. It's really nice to see you, and to be reminded of all of the friends on the internet that I am connected with. It's really special. Anyhow, let's read about the courtship of Inanna and Dumuzi. The brother spoke to his younger sister. The sun god Utu spoke to Inanna, saying, "Young lady, the flax is in its fullness and lovely. Inanna, grain is glistening in the furrow. I will hoe it for you. I will bring it to you. A piece of linen, big or small, is always needed. Inanna, I will bring it to you. Brother, after you've brought me the flax, who will comb it for me? Sister, I will bring it to you combed. Utu, after you've brought it to me combed, who will spin it for me? Inanna, I will bring it to you spun. Brother, after you've brought the flax to me spun, who will braid it for me? Sister, I will bring it to you braided. Utu, after you've brought it to me braided, who will warp it for me? Inanna, I will bring it to you warped. Brother, after you've brought the flaxseed to me warped, who will weave it for me? Sister, I will bring it to you woven. Utu, after you've brought it to me woven, who will bleach it for me? Inanna, I will bring it to you bleached. Calm down. Brother, after you've brought me my bridal sheet to me, who will go to bed with me? Utu, who will go to bed with me? This is actually the core question. Brother, after you brought me my bridal sheet to me, who will go to bed with me? Who will go to bed with me? Sister, your bridegroom will go to bed with you. He who was born from a fertile womb, he who was conceived on the sacred marriage throne, Dumuzi, the shepherd, he will go to bed with you. And that's how the story begins. I've been trying to fix my relationship with TikTok too, Paige. Good morning, Kimmy. How are you? So we are reading The Courtship of Inanna and Dumuzi, a very raunchy tale. And it starts with this, there's a hole in my bucket, dear Liza, dear Liza. This strange interchange between Inanna and Utu, her brother, and she's like, hey, you don't really know what they're getting at, but hey, will you weave me a bridal veil? Or a bridal sheet. It's actually a sheet to fuck on. And Utu's like, yeah, I'll do it. Calm down. You're gonna marry Dumuzi. So, we can, read on a couple more pages. Here's Dumuzi. Or maybe that's Utu with the flax. Hard to say. Good morning, Cody. Boker Tov. How are you doing today? Inanna spoke. No, brother. The man of my heart works the hoe. The farmer, he is the man of my heart. He gathers grain into great heaps. He brings grain regularly into my storehouses. Utu spoke. Sister married the shepherd. Why are you unwilling? His cream is good. His milk is good. Whoever he touches shines brightly. Inanna, marry Dumuzi. His cream is good. You who adorn yourself with agate necklaces of fertility, why are you unwilling? Dumuzi will share his rich cream with you. You who are meant to be the king's protector, why are you unwilling? Inanna spoke. The shepherd? I will not marry the shepherd. His clothes are coarse, his wool is rough. I will marry the farmer. The farmer grows flax for my clothes. The farmer grows barley for my table. It's so good, isn't it? It's so good. Dumpster, having changed your life, I'm glad. There's so much food there. I'm glad you figured out how to find it. It gets better, though. I'm going to keep reading because I like reading with you all, and I have time. So next we have Dumuzi. Dumuzi enters the stage, who's got good cream. Dumuzi spoke. Why would you speak about the farmer? Why do you speak about him? If he gives you black flour, I will give you black wool. If he gives you white flour, I will give you white wool. If he gives you beer, I will give you sweet milk. If he gives you bread, I will give you honey cheese. Ooh. I will give the farmer my leftover cream. I will give the farmer my leftover milk. Why do you speak about the farmer? What does he have that I do not? And so there's this story in the Bible. You might have read it, Cain and Abel, about there's a shepherd and a farmer, and they get into an argument. Cain kills Abel because Yahweh likes Abel's farmed goods better, or Abel's meat better than... Anyway, this is the original version of that story. In the book of Genesis, they removed all of the sex and replaced it with fratricide, as one does. But this original contest, it's a sex contest. Much better, but, you know, Yahweh doesn't like sex contests. That's for Inanna. Inanna spoke. Shepherd, without my mother, Ningal, you'd be driven away. Without my grandmother, Ningikuga, you'd be driven into the steppes. Without my father, Nana, you'd have no roof. Without my brother, Utu, Dumuzi spoke. Inanna, do not start a quarrel. My father, Enki, is as good as your father, Nana. My mother, Sirtur, is as good as your mother, Ningal. My sister, Geshtinana, is as good as yours. Queen of the palace, let us talk it over. Inanna, let us sit and speak together. I am as good as Utu. Enki is as good as Nana. Sitir is as good as Ningal. Queen of the palace, let us talk it over. The word they had spoken was a word of desire. From starting the quarrel came the lovers. Desire. Friends to enemies, right? That oldest romantic trope in the book, right? Quite literally, the oldest romantic trope in the book. 4,000 years ago, we were telling stories of competing shepherds and farmers. So, I'm gonna put it off there, but, should come back next time. I'll give you a little teaser. It's probably my favorite line in this entire book. It goes like this. As for me, Inanna, who will plow my vulva? Who will plow my high field? Who will plow my wet ground? As for me, the young woman, who will plow my vulva? Who will station the ox there? Who will plow my vulva? This gets repeated a number of times, so we'll get there. We'll get there soon. But until then, I'll leave you at that cliffhanger. Who will it be to plow? Yeah, I've often wondered it too. It's a thing that that people wonder from time to time. Oh, I love you folks. So good. So, now it's time for Arati. So the word Arati means flame in Sanskrit. I really appreciate that that the old myths were so sexually transparent, right? Like that was literally that was sex ed, right? For all of the young people in the city of Uruk, they would hear these myths, and that was how they would learn about it. And I just like it is so much more refreshing than the sexual attitudes that come from the Abrahamic faiths. Like it's diametrically opposed, even though they're mimetically related and evolutionarily related, right? Like there's clear linkages between that story and things in Genesis, but somewhere along the way, the sex ed was cut from the ancient theological education. I think that's a pity. So that's why we read these old stories, so that we can remember what people before us knew, or how they conceived of divinity. Like, what would it be like if your concept of the divine was contiguous with your concept of like, you know, a horny young woman? I think it would change things. I think it might change the way we perceive material reality that we're embedded in. But maybe that's just me. Never know. Clearly, there's a reason why the Abrahamic faiths emerged. I don't know why. Anyway, we can shift from all that. Don't need to be in the ancient Near East forever. We're going to go to India. And this is excerpts from the Bhagavad Gita. Arati. Good morning, Taryn. How are you? And Sushi, thank you for the little hearts. I appreciate that. So the word Arati is a Sanskrit word. It means flame. Here we have our nice little flame. I need to refill it so you can see there's basically no oil in there. Mandinity, how are you? Hi, Odin. I'm doing great. I really had a very fun time reading that story time. It's a really good story. It's just really, really good. Okay. You're so well. So well. Good. I'm happy to see you too. Thanks for coming by and say hi. Jaya Jaya Arati Vina Vinayaka Vina Vinayaka Shri Ganesha Jaya Jaya Arati Subramanya Subramanya Kartikeya Jaya Jaya Arati Venugopala Venugopala Venuola Papa Vidura Navanita Chora Jaya Jaya Arati Venkantaramana Venkantaramana Sankatarana Sita Rama Radhe Shama Jaya Jaya Arati Gauri Manohara Gauri Manohara Bhavani Sankara Samba Sadashiva Uma Maheshwara Jaya Jaya Arati Raja Rajeshwari Raja Rajeshwari Tripura Sundari Mahalakshmi Mahasaraswati Mahakali Mahashakti Jaya Jaya Arati Anjaneya Anjaneya Hanumanta Jaya Jaya Arati Dattatreya Trimurti Avatara Jaya Jaya Arati Adityaya Adityaya Bhaskaraya Jaya Jaya Arati Sanistaraya Sanistaraya Bhaskaraya Jaya Jaya Arati Sankarachaya Sankarachaya Advaita Gravi Jaya Jaya Arati Sadgurunata Sadgurunata Shivananda Jaya Jaya Arati Vishnu Devananda Vishnu Devananda Vishnu Devananda Jaya Jaya Arati Agastya Munaye Agastya Munaye Shyama Priyaye Jaya Jaya Arati Ayapa Samine Ayapa Samine Dharma Shastave Jaya Jaya Arati Jesus Grave Moses Grave Buddha Grave Jaya Jaya Arati Muhammad Grave Guru Nanak Grave Samastya Gurubho Namaha Jaya Jaya Arati Venugopala Natatra Suyobati Natandrakaratam Nima Vidyobati Kutayamagni Twameva Bantamanamandi Sarvam Tasya Basya Samidam Vivanti Om Yange Kayamane Kaiva Govari Saraswati Narmade Siddhikaveriya Namastitam Namo Namaha Twameva Mata Chapita Twameva Twameva Bandusha Saka Twameva Tvameva vidya javinam tvameva. Tvameva sarvam mama diva deva. Kayena vacha manasandriyarva. Budyat manava prakrite sabhavad. Karom yad yad sakalam parasmahe. Narayana iti sarmar payami. Sarvadharmam pravichayam amikam sarvanam vrija. Aham sva sarva papayo mokshayami masucha. Whatever actions I perform with my body, speech, mind, senses, my nature, my intellect, or my emotions, all these, I dedicate to you. To all of you. Thank you. Thank you. Hello from Spain. Hi. Thank you. It means the world to me to be able to spend this time with you so often in the morning. Okay. So, we have one more prayer before we part for the day. And the prayer is the mourner's Kaddish. Right, so the word Kaddish, in American Jews, usually refers to this prayer, the mourner's Kaddish, but there are other prayers, the Yahtzee Kaddish. Right, and then there's variants, right? There's Kiddush, which is the prayer over wine, and bread and light, that I'll be saying later today for Shabbat. Good morning, Jenny. How are you doing in Texas? And then, perhaps particularly relevant to the story we were reading, there's Kaddish, or Katesh, right? So this was a Canaanite goddess. I've shown this to you before, but like, look at her, riding that lion, arousing gods left and right. Got the shepherd and the farmer. Right, because all the goddesses ran together. Right, so Katesh was another name for Inanna, was another name for Anat, was another name for Ishtar, right? Depending on your location in the ancient Near East and your language that you were speaking and the time, whether it was, 2,000 years ago, 3,000 years ago, 4,000 years ago. And, there's interesting remnants of this, right? Like, the Hebrew word for prostitute, or in the Bible at least, is Keddishah, right? There's sequences in the Book of Kings where they throw out all the temple prostitutes, all the Kedusha, right? And yet, there's a prayer that I remember saying in Hebrew school, the Kedusha, right? So this word has lots of roots. It means holy, and I just think it's very important to remind you all, as often as I do, that the word for holy is etymologically linked to the word for whore. Because I think that says something about the way that ancient peoples understood the sacred, that we've lost today, that I certainly want to remember. Good morning, Shannon. So, with that, we will say the mourner's Kaddish. Isn't it interesting? Yeah. Hi, Batya. How are you? How are you doing? We'll say Kaddish as a prayer of grief, as a prayer of remembrance. Yes, it's been almost a week since I've seen you. Good. I'm glad that I make good background ambiance. It's important. So, despite the many, many meanings of Kaddish, Kiddush, Kaddish, Katesh, Keddishah, this prayer is a prayer of grief and mourning, right? So it reminds us of what we have lost, what we have yet to lose, reminds us of the suffering that is inherent in being alive and being a creature with an inside and an outside that refuse to stay completely separate, right? So we are subject to forces of entropy, and that which we love dissolves in time. And so we have these words, social words, right? Words to remind us together that despite all that we have lost, we are still here. We are still present. We are still part of an ancient tradition that has continued to say these words collectively. So, for the last 2,500 years, give or take, my ancestors have said these words in response to death. Yid Gadal, Vid Gadash, Shema Rabba. Biama Divrach Yute Viamlich Mal Hute, Bachayachon of Yomechon of Chayede Kolbe Israel, Bagala Visman Kari Vimru. Amen. Yehe Shema Rabba Mevarach Lealam Almei Almaya, Yit Barach Vishtabach, Vit Baar, Vit Ramam, Vit Nase, Vit Adar, Vit Ale, Vit Halal, Shema de Kudisha, Baruchu, Leila Min Kol Birchata Vishirata, Tushbechata, Vinechemata, Diamiran Biama Vimru. Amen. Yehe Shlama Rabba Min Shemaya V'chayim Aleinu V'chol Yisrael Vimru Amen. Ose Shalom B'Ramav Huya Ase Shalom Aleinu V'chol Yisrael Vimru Amen. Ose Shalom B'Ramav Huya Ase Shalom Aleinu V'chol Yisrael Vimru Vimru Amen. Thank you. Thank you so much. I will see you here. Don't think I'm going to be able to stream this weekend, unfortunately. But I will see you here on Monday to say these words next. Dr. Punk, oh no, you've arrived just at the very last minute. Yeah, but I'll be here again soon. And if you find this stream meaningful and you would like to support it, would like to support this group, support me, I would ask that you check out the link in my bio. You can subscribe on Patreon, you can leave a one-time tip through Koji, or you can subscribe on TikTok and have lots of Ouroboros emojis. It makes a really big difference. It does, right? And like half of you have already done that, right? So, I don't want to, I have regret saying those things when half of you are already doing it, because then I'm just wasting your time and your attention with an ad. But I say it anyway because it is important, and I'm grateful. I'm grateful for all of you here who made it clear to me that you really value that we do this every day. So, I'll see you on Monday, and until then, I hope you have a really lovely weekend. Okay, farewell.